Aboriginal art. Originele Australische kunst van wat men daar de Aboriginals noemt. In de Immaculate Concepcion art gallery aan het Max Euweplein. Een galerie die zich specialiseert in opzienbarende projecten. Hiervoor deden ze onder andere het John Lennon project, waar we al eerder over berichten, en nu dus Aboriginal art. Heel populair in de stad. Er zijn een aantal galeries die zich daarin specialiseren, ook in instrumenten. Maar vooral als het wat ruimer getoond kan worden, zoals hier, waarbij je dus het gevoel krijgt dat de kunst echt spreekt. En zoals je hier ziet, de mensen in de galerie zich ook een beetje aanpassen aan de sfeer. Dan krijg je een heel diepe, brede ervaring van die kunst van de grote ruimtes. Want ruimte hadden ze in Australië. En de kunst werd heel vaak gebruikt om ook bijvoorbeeld landkaarten op een bepaalde manier vast te leggen. Dus de schijnbaar toevallige patronen die we hier zien, hadden ook een functie. Het waren oorspronkelijk vaak ook zandschilderijen en ze werden gebruikt voor het vinden van de weg. In deze wereld of in de andere wereld. De wereld van de verbeelding. De dreamtime. Want dat is een thema wat steeds terugkomt. Dreamtime. Die andere kant van de wereld heeft ook een hele diepe ervaring van die andere kant van ons bewustzijn. De dreamtime. Iets wat je kunt vinden door muziek en kunst. En waarvoor die grote open ruimtes van Australië zo duidelijk inspirerend zijn geweest. We gaan wat interviews doen met de kunstenaars en de initiatiefnemer van deze galerie, die al langer bezig is met toch wel opzienbarende kunstprojecten in Amsterdam te brengen. Op het Max Euweplein, wat heel langzaam een eigen sfeer begint te krijgen, met onder andere ook de stand-up comedy club die daar is en het grote schaakspel wat toch heel veel belangstelling trekt. Een deel van de objecten in de galerie zijn overigens niet Australisch, maar zijn gewoon deel van de vaste collectie, zoals deze mobiles die we net zagen. Dit stukje is overigens wel een deel van de Aboriginal tentoonstelling.
Hi, welcome to the opening of the Immaculate Conceptions collection. This is our summer show, and we've also got here today some very important guests from Australia. A couple of guests from Queensland, and Maureen also from Queensland, Sadie Badabadia from the Kimberleys, and we're going to open this exhibition in a good way, I believe. So have a look around, and I hope you enjoy it. Please come and see us if you've got more questions or interest. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maureen Watson, and I am an Indigenous Australian. Australia, of course, is the land of the Aboriginal. And from way back, through the swirling mists of time, down through the ages, back to the very dream time itself, that is where our culture began. We have many beautiful things in our culture, the arts and crafts, the clapsticks, the boomerang, of course, the baskets, the weaving, the necklaces, the didgeridoo.
Here with Colin Jones at the Immaculate Conceptions World Art Gallery, and Colin is, apart from bringing his own artistic work, has also come to promote consciousness about Aboriginals and their history. Is that right? Can you tell us something about that?
Yes, okay. My cousin Rosalind and I are here because we're both artists. I also lecture in Aboriginal history and culture. It's to make awareness, or give awareness to the Europeans, especially over here in Holland, of where we come from, what we are, from the Aboriginal point of view, because the Dutch were the first to make contact with our people in 1606 on the west coast of Cape York in the Doifken. So I lecture in that area, right up to the Arnhem and the Pira, and to William Dampier, who claimed it in 1688 and named it as New Holland. So the awareness of the Dutch on our culture is very important for us to explain where we come from and what we are.
I see. And can you explain to me something about the kind of work that you do in terms of the artwork, the Aboriginal artwork?
Well, where I come from in Cairns in North Queensland, we have an Aboriginal cultural park. It's called Chebakai. It means we, the people of the rainforest. In that cultural park, we show the dancing, what happened to our people with first contact with the Europeans, the mythology story of the dreaming, the creation theatre, and we have so many visitors coming from all over the world. We can have between 600 and 800 people a day coming through. So we give awareness of our art and our history. But we find it's very interesting because most Europeans do not know about our history. Because even our own people in Australia, we were not granted citizenship till 1967. So awareness of our people now is just starting to come out, and we want to make sure, from our point of view, they get the full facts.
See, and of course you are partly Aboriginal. Can you tell me something about the kind of, mixture of races or the multicultural elements in your life?
There's many variations, because in our culture I have Aboriginal, English and Tahitian from Polynesia. Now, see, the Europeans found out we are one of the only 3 black races in the world that you can actually breed out in 3 generations. And a lot of the breeding out programs were deliberate to make us more lighter skinned, more acceptable to the European point of view. So we're a mixture of all, but we're still Aboriginal and we're still proud of what we are. But we're still human beings. We're all human beings. That's the reality.
Of course. And you are here to promote awareness of Aborigines and their history. You do lecture in the subject of humanities.
Yes.
And so you are very active in terms of raising awareness of the history of Aborigines. But you also have you're also here at an art gallery in Amsterdam, and you're here also to show your work. And you're also here to give lectures at the university, I believe.
Yes, that's true. Through our art, see, Aboriginal art is a written language. When Captain Cook arrived in 1770, he said we had no form of written language, no form of government, and did not till the earth. That was through his point of view. But from an Aboriginal point of view, yes, we did all that. The art is actually a documentation of our oral history. I compare it to Egyptian hieroglyphics, Inca, Aztec and Maya. The other thing is our art is probably the last thing we have left within our cultural structure to an extent. And the art is very important to our people to keep the authenticity in our history. But now our art is becoming very valuable. People are wanting to collect our art because it goes back a long, long time, the concept of our art. We find now you have to be aware there are so many counterfeit pieces of art, and so many pieces of art are not reality. We don't want to be ripped off as Aboriginal people, and we don't want our people buying our art being ripped off by buying counterfeits. So we're here talking about the art, what it represents, awareness of culture, awareness of art, where we come from and where we are today. And that way people get a whole concept and understanding. And by doing that, then they not only appreciate us as another nation of people, but also so unique in the way that we do things with our art.
So Colin, this is a work painting that you're busy finishing at the moment. Can you explain to us the symbolism involved in these images?
Yes, certainly. Remember I said it's like a written language? You have to learn to read our art. In our culture, circles are a life force. The life force can represent human, animal, tree, plant, rock, fire, lightning, campsite or whatever. Now, seasons, we can have, where Europeans have 4 seasons, we can have 6, 8, 12, up to 20 seasons. So we move around the land caring for the land. Here, the circles, the life force of the campsites where our people live throughout their land. These are the tracks moving around the land, caring for the land. We did not destroy the land. In our culture, the earth is the mother. It gives you life, fire, water, food and shelter. When you die, you go back to the earth. So it's very important to care for the earth. Here, our people are very family orientated. The mother, here, the father, the children, tracking the big red kangaroo, the footprints of the kangaroo. Here's the kangaroo, the main food source. In that area, in the bush or the rainforest, we have the tree python and its eggs. In the drier area, the rock python and its eggs. Here, the big lizard we call the goanna. These are some of the food sources in the land as we move around the land. I painted the colours of the earth, the ochre colours, to give the feeling of the earth and how we live for the earth and care for the earth, and the earth is the mother. So it becomes a written language. It shows you the seasons, a map, how to move around your land, the different food sources in that land at that season. So it's a written language. That's how you read our art.
I see. In a sense, could you say that every painting is like a cosmology of the Aboriginal people?
Traditionally, yes. When you see a lot of the rock paintings or the cave paintings, you'll see a hand up. That's well known in Aboriginal art with a hand. The hand is actually your signature. Because when our people move around the land, the elders will put their hand up, they will blow the ochre over it or dip it in the ochre and put it on the wall. Around that hand there may be some emus, the fish, the turtle, the kangaroo. It is showing that food source in that land. So when you leave that area, you may leave it for 6 or 7 months before you come back. When you return, you put your hand up, your hand fits. You are saying, this is my land, this is my place, this is my food source, keep away. It's a warning, this is your land, it's a signature.
I see, a way of claiming
your
one's
land.
territory,
Yep.
right. Well, what have you found has been the response so far? You've only been a short time in Holland, but what has been the response so far from Dutch people that you have spoken to about these issues of Aborigines?
Dutch people are very interested because the simple reason is the Dutch were the first to arrive. I always believe not just the younger generation, but the younger generation of people now, like in Holland, are so interested because of what happened in Australia when the Dutch first arrived there. The German people are interested in what happened to our people. The genocide of our people, as we were seen as not quite human, the missing link, the massacres, the poisonings of our people, the removal of children. See, the English found out we were one of the only 3 black races you can breed out in 3 generations, and that was a part of our White Australia policy that people do not know about. And for a nation of people to move on, you have to address the past so you can move to the future. I lecture in humanities, not with anger, but with knowledge of learning and understanding, so we as a people can say, hey, we are human beings, we have a right to continue on this world of human beings. Because right up till 1967, just over 30 years ago, we were given citizenship. It's not long ago for a nation of people. So we finally would, well, I believe, then first to be seen as human beings. Because in the beginning, we were seen as the missing link. We were seen as the lowest form of human life, less than the Hottentots. So we were not seen as human, we were seen as soulless creatures. And so the reasons why our skulls, our bones, our body parts were collectibles for the Europeans, for the Science Authority and for the museums. And we're here now, even today, where our bones and skulls are being brought back from museums all over the world, because we were seen as that missing link. So the idea is, through our art, through our history, we want to show people we're a race of people, a very proud people. We are human beings, and we are definitely still here, for the right reasons.
Okay, we're looking now at your cousin's painting, Rosalind. Can you explain this to us?
Certainly. Roslyn Kemp. Roslyn comes from Cherbourg Aboriginal community but lives in Cairns in North Queensland. Roslyn's art goes all over the world. She has an art exhibition at Arnhem at present through the Boomerang Gallery, and also pieces of art here in the Boomerang Gallery in Amsterdam. It is showing the two crocodiles, the saltwater crocodile, the freshwater crocodile, fighting over their land area. Here are the eggs of the crocodile, here the barramundi fish and the turtle. For our people to see this art and to read it, it's telling us the season of the wet season, the coming of the rain. The crocodile makes a mound of grass and leaves. It lays its eggs. It's the heat of the grass and the leaves decaying that hatch the eggs. Now the crocodile makes its nest above the high water mark. Our older traditional people would watch the crocodiles. Where they made the nest, they knew how high the floods were going to be, because we were at one with the earth. We respected the earth as a mother. The barramundi always swim up the freshwater rivers from the salt water to lay their eggs. They only breed in the freshwater. The turtles follow the barramundi to eat the eggs. Our people know it's time to move to that area to collect the crocodile eggs, the barramundi and the turtle for that season. That's one of our seasons of the 20 in that area.
How our artists, our craftspeople can capture the interest. And you know, I suppose, you know, being Aboriginal, you can't help but hear the comments about Aboriginal Australia, about spirituality, and I think that's one of the big things, you know, with Aboriginal culture. What we put out, whether it's an artist putting out, or whether it's a dancer, or whether you're just riding on a canal boat and talking to somebody, what comes across is the spirit of people that they can relate to, and identify with, not just what we're saying, but the spirituality that we are expressing. It's very much to the fore in the artwork, but you hear about an Aboriginal singer, a didgeridoo player, an Aboriginal dance group, although I myself, as an Aboriginal storyteller, you can see it in people's faces. And it's not just that Aboriginal Australia is a slice of exotica from down under on the other side of the world. There's that, of course. But the big thing that comes out is that Aboriginal culture has enabled us to put out in a way that we can share a spiritual experience. It doesn't matter what the country. But then again, I must admit that I keep coming back to Holland. There's something here in this country that draws many people. I know a lot of people go to a lot of other countries, but I think Holland and Amsterdam, the countryside, other towns, Holland itself has something that can tap into, can relate to that spiritual experience. There, a certain ease, a certain ability to relax with many things. And together, Aboriginal Australia and those people who came in the last 200 years, working together, we can make Australia a great country.
Said Nambin Badbaria from Turkey Creek in the Kimberleys, and this is my painting, the Bungle Bungles. It's about two rainbow serpents. Anyway, this is one of the many Dreamtime stories, and this is one of my favorites, about the two Dreamtime serpents that were traveling in the Dreamtime. And one came from the east and one came from the west. The one came from the east was meant to come from Asia somewhere. And anyway, they came together at the now where this site is. And they created the landscape by crawling amongst the area and made shaped dome-like shapes, and by crawling through together they also gave the colors to the land and the surroundings, and gave us indigenous people the law of the land. So we say, that's why we say we don't own the land owns us, because when we die we know we're going to go back into it. Like, our spirit's going to live in the surrounding landscapes and the animals, just waiting to be reincarnated again, born again.
Yeah. So. Sayed, I'm just, I would just like to ask you about, like, the overall picture here, you know, like your experience in creating this piece and, you know, the symbolism of it all.
Well, I'll start off by how I started painting it. Like, it's good to paint with ochre, and being far away from home, it gives me the energy to, you know, stick it out here and paint, and also tell people about my paintings. First of all, I tell people about where the paints come from. It comes from the natural stones, and it has meaning for Aboriginal people throughout Australia. Like, some of it are very, very sacred, only used in, you know, sacred stuff. So, and some stories cannot be, you know, told. But and this region has many Dreamtime stories for me, but this is one of my favorite ones. It's about the two rainbow serpents, on how one came from the east and one came from the west. The one from the east said to have come from Asia somewhere, and they came together came to the Bungles and created the land by crawling, and that's when they gave the colors to the land and the surroundings, and they gave us Gija people the lore of the land. And all colors here you see here, we use this for like healing ceremonies and stuff like that. That's why it heals me sometimes when I'm sick or homesick. And the white paint is said to be the sperm of the male rainbow serpent, and the rest of the colors is from both of them just by rubbing it off and crawling.
Je kan wat rond in deze gallery met wat didgeridoo-geluiden op de achtergrond van wat muzici daar. En dan nu Maureen Watson met een Aboriginal verhaal in het Engels.
Watamuli. My name is Maureen Watson and I am an Aboriginal Australian. I would like to tell you a story of a long, long, long time ago, way, way, way back through the swirling mists of time to the very beginning when there was nothing except the wise spirits. And they decided that they would make a special place. They would make a place that was so special it would know only the touch of soft padded feet. There would be no creatures with sharp cutting hooves. They decided they would make a place where there were no creatures that would eat human beings, so that the people of this land could go out on the darkest night in the thickest bush. They need never look over their shoulder to see if some creature was creeping up to gobble them up for dinner. They decided they would make a land where there were no problems with garbage, with rubbish dumps, with trash heaps. There would be no tin or iron or steel. Their cooking pots they would not have. They would not have the metal on their dwellings. They would cook on the hot coals and the ashes. Their shelters would be made from the bark and the leaves of the trees. There would be no big holes gouged in the earth for the mines. They would have a place, a special land, where no child ever had to read or write or spell, or even learn the ABC, because the children would learn the same way that a baby learns. They learn by using their eyes, by using their ears, by using their brain, their mind, and working things out. They never have to carry books or paper or pencils. And that was the way our country was made. The wise spirits each went off into all of the different directions, and from within themselves they took and they fashioned the land. They reached back down within themselves, and then they fashioned the people of the land. Once again, from within their own spirit, they fashioned the birds of the air, the animals of the land, the fish of the sea, and the little creatures that lived close to the earth. And so it is that every Aboriginal child, when they walk on their land, they walk with respect, because they know part of their spirit is there in that land. They do not tip their rubbish into the waters, the rivers, the lakes, the ocean, because they know they would soil their own spirit. They cannot rip the branches from the trees needlessly, because they know they injure their own spirit. They can lie and watch the birds fly among the clouds, and they can experience the very same sense of freedom, because they know part of their spirit flies up there with the birds. They know they can pick up the stone, the rock, the pebbles. They can feel the hardness and the strength and the stillness of those rocks and those mountains. And they know when they have to be strong, when they have to be still, when they have to be hard, they can be, because part of their spirit also is in those mountains and those rocks. And so it is, the Aboriginal child grows knowing that they have a relationship with everything in their universe, with the living and the non-living, with the sun, with the moon, with the stars, with the wind that blows through the clouds and the trees that sway, with the lightning that flashes in the storms, with the land beneath their feet. The child grows up knowing she is part of all of these things, and everything in her world is a part of her. And because of that respect and that balance and that harmony, Aboriginal people see the big picture, and from that we take the law, and the law balances out as the animals balance out with the elements, the rain, the wind, the waters, the fire. Everything balances out, and the law is made for the good of the people, and the child knows the law is part of the big picture. So it is today. Even so, we may speak a foreign language, but we have embraced that foreign language. We have changed the meanings of the words and we make it ours. We may bear different names. Our skin may be a different colour. We may have the blood of other nationalities, but we are still Aboriginal. And so we still know the relationship between us and all things in our universe, the living and the non-living. And above all, we know that we, the people who live today, we will become the ancestors of the children of the future. And we know that today we have a choice. We can give our children honourable ancestors, ancestors who stood up for what they believed in. And like the ancestors who went before us, we will be looked upon with pride. And sometimes I wonder, what kind of ancestors will you give your children? I wonder.
Egosoft Kleurnet. Speciale geluidsop naar de bomlanding, terwijl uw hertog even verstand geworden. Het functioneren om naar de zijn vruchten.
Echte Indiaanse sweat lodge.
Brainmachines, de snelste manier om snel en diep te kunnen ontspannen.
Original art